Here I am, here I am, here I am. I know I said I wouldn't, but I fell in love again. I know I said I wouldn't, but look at where I am. I just pray that you don't do me like the other one did. Kia ora tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast. My name is Harley Neville.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And who was that?
That was the Kid Laroi. You might recall, listeners might recall on the show that the Kid Laroi, I called him out as saying he was going to be the next big thing. This was months ago. I was using his lyrics. The Kid Laroi. Well, this guy, he's an Australian guy, young buck, just turned 18, is now going to be performing in Auckland at the Spark Arena. That's the
Not
Circles.
anytime soon, he won't be.
Well, he's scheduled to. I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It is a fair point. But nevertheless, his rise has been astronomical. And I called it. Because I know what the kids are into. You see, I'm cool. I know what's happening in the young people world. The kids fuck with my shit, and I fuck with the kids' shit. I know all about it.
Well, welcome along to the live podcast. And we do have right wing Richard on the live stream. And he
wants Justin Bieber's verse because the Kid Laroi did a song with Justin Bieber as well. Not that one, but he did. So yes, shout out to Richard. Shout out to the Kid Laroi. I know he tunes in. Shout out to you, dear listener.
I saw that you shared Scroobius Pip thing, and I rewatched it.
Yeah.
To see if there was a pretty funny comment in the I don't know if you looked at the comment section of the YouTube video that you shared.
Right.
But one of them was like, man, this is really good because it starts off like, really, relatable and, 100%, on point. And then towards the end of a song, he turns into Hitler.
Yeah. He does get quite angry at the end. It's
burning the skies and all sorts of bringing death upon everyone, and it's like going up there.
He was speaking metaphorically.
He was speaking Hitlerphorically, which I understand is why you identified so much with this particular song. I was like, wait a second, this whole Hitler thing. Harley loves Hitler.
I don't love Hitler. Firstly, Scroobius Pip is who we're talking about here.
Yep.
The song is called You Will See Me, and we shared it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley.
And you can watch that and decide or not, you can cast a vote whether or not he becomes Hitler by the end of the song through these lyrics, or whether or not he's just a guy. He's
just a guy who is very good at using metaphors and similes and allegories and so forth to tell stories. And
Hitler
poetic.
Quotes.
He doesn't quote Hitler. You're getting mixed up with me. No. So Scroobius Pip is what we're talking about. And you know what's interesting about that video? Aside from it being a great song, very powerful and interesting lyrics, what's also very interesting is that the whole video is shot backwards, and you don't know it until sort of a little way in. You kind of go, why does he look so weird? And then you realize he's doing everything's backwards. So when they shot the video, he had to learn his lyrics in reverse and then perform them backwards as they filmed it so that they could then reverse the footage to make it go forwards.
Pretty pathetic that he decided to rip off Supergroove, but whatever.
This is a reasonably old song, and I don't think he's heard of Supergroove.
He's 100% nicked that concept. So
it is quite an old song.
I watched it because it's from 2014. I did a deep dive on Scroobius Pip after this song.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the Hitler thing, Harley's love of him, I'm seeing the connection here. And then I was like, and also, whatever the fuck happened to this guy?
Yeah.
He runs a podcast. That's what happened to him.
No.
But he's a podcaster now.
He is a podcaster now, Scroobius Pip. Shout out to Scroobius. He listens.
But what was interesting to me is that he essentially made two albums. And on this one, this Hitler one was on the second album. And he never ever made another album after that. Mm-hmm. And he never attempted to make another album after that. Mm-hmm. He just said, yep, all my creative juices are spent. I got nothing. I got zero more creativity in the music world. So I'm just going to become a podcast / actor. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was interesting because that's a very rare thing for an artist to do. Oh, yeah, good, cool. I should really listen to my... oh, yeah, I'm sounding good too. It's rare that an artist decides to essentially quit.
Yeah, well, he didn't really quit as much as he transitioned, but he did say that, yes, he was he had sort of done what he set out to achieve with music. He didn't feel like he had anything else to say, and then he was just quite happy to be a podcaster and do other creative stuff. And then his podcast is pretty big, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he's doing it right. He's famous as well because he's got a stutter, but he's a rapper, and he can, overcome his stutter when rapping, sort of thing. And that's quite interesting. And the music video that we're talking about, where the whole thing goes backwards. Another reason that's interesting, I watched it I watched the behind the scenes, the making of it, and they built that set just in a warehouse somewhere. So they just used their budget to build that set, and then basically it was him, in there, and yeah, it was just one set, one location, shot it all backwards. Very simple idea, but done well and with a good song. Quite an inspiring music video.
See, when I watched that music video, I was like, fuck, this is a cliche piece of bullshit. And I was like, now, was it a cliche piece of bullshit when it was made? Because it was made in 2014, and everyone has essentially copied Scroobius Pip. Or was he in kind of like the middle phase where everyone was doing this reverse music video thing, which was a big... To be honest, it's still an ongoing fad right now. And then I was like, was he the guy that sort of, the auteur that sort of came up with this? But then I remembered Supergroove, and I was like, you're fucking pathetic, mate. You just fucking nicked it off, Supergroove. My God. What's wrong with you? Supergroove, ahead of their time, ahead of Scroobius Pip. But it is like... time going backwards, going forwards is cool. It looks cool. I mean, I'm not going to deny that it looks cool visually. It's an interesting thing. I think they did it so
very well as well.
And they did, yeah, they did do it well.
So that at first you don't necessarily know that it's backwards. Like, I rewatched it and I actually forgot, because I obviously had seen it quite a few times before, but I actually forgot that they had that whole backwards thing because I hadn't seen it for a few years. And then I was watching it and I was like, oh, yep, cool. And then it wasn't until sort of halfway through when they start playing with time again that I was like, oh, that's right. This whole fucking thing's backwards, because that's how well it's done. Scroobius Pip. I also like his other one where he shaves his hair and burns things. It's all the one big one shot and shot in the back of a... shipping container. So they just hired a shipping container and then they set it up as a set, and then they went in there and he did sort of a one-shot music video where he raps his whole song, but to make sure that it really is one shot, he shaves his head halfway through and he sets things on fire, and everything needs to be pulled off just perfectly for it to work.
Easy day at the office.
Well, nice short shoot. Yeah, you just do a bunch of rehearsals and then just
off you go, mate.
one go, and that's the one you've got, and that's that.
And too bad if it sucks.
But again, a good, inspiring sort of story of how to make a music video and make it interesting for cheap. So another reason why I admire Mr. Pip's work. Also not the first time that's been done. Sure, but I mean, we're not. This is not the first time that two white guys have had a filmmaking podcast, Two middle-class white guys have had a filmmaking podcast. This is definitely not the first time.
Actually, when we started it, we were pioneers.
I'm not sure that we were. It was 6 years ago now, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
So actually, at the time, we were the auteurs of
now
the
we're
white
the
guy.
autistics.
We're the white guy filmmaking podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we started this shit.
The White Guy and Harley Show filmmaking podcast. So yeah, Scroobius Pip. It's definitely worth a watch and a listen.
Yep. No, he's got lots of good stuff.
Weigh in. Hitler or not? Is he Hitler?
Nothing to do with Hitler. Nothing to do with Hitler. Nothing to do with Hitler.
Is he making allusions to Hitler?
No, he's not. And I don't love Hitler. So I appreciate you not throwing around these baseless accusations.
Weigh in.
I'm interested in Hitler in the same way that a Star Wars fan is interested in Darth Vader. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the antagonist of the whole story. You've got to show some interest in the antagonist of the whole story of World War II. He's one of the main characters. Of course, you've got to check him out, see what it's all about, figure out how he did it. But it doesn't mean you love him or admire his work. There are some aspects, obviously, the uniting the people and all that. That's good stuff. It's just a shame that he went so wrong with the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And the controlled economy. The controlled economy really fucked it up for him. Like a centralized economy really screwed it up for him because without capitalism, his factories couldn't compete at the best prices and all that type of things to get things done. So his logistics were all fucked up because of his crappy economy too. So there's lots of things that Hitler did wrong, is what I'm saying.
Jeremy Housen says, Harley loves Hitler, but he's not in love with Hitler.
I don't love Hitler, and I'm not in love with Hitler.
Oh, great call. Great calls on the live stream.
Shout out to Richard. Shout out to Jeremy.
Yeah, so we're here. We're broadcasting live from studio apartment.
Still level 3.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be level 3. It was 51 cases today. It's time we started Jamie Oxley's favourite segment, Jab Chat.
Start the timer.
Yeah.
Timer would go up on screen if we knew how to do that.
Well, that's actually not very hard with OBS, but we just haven't got around to doing that. But actually, I did want to say about Jeremy before we talk about that, was that I had some listener feedback from Jamie. And he said that Jab Chat last week was about 10 minutes. Jab Chat is our new segment, of course. Jab Chat, new segment where we talk about COVID and COVID-related things. Jamie Oxley suggested that we do that instead of just talking forever about COVID. He said last week it was about 10 minutes, and he'll let it instead of 5 minutes, and he'll let it slide because it wasn't as long as he thought it was going to be. So that's a plus. And he also wants to know if the Trademe guy got back to the real guy.
Oh, yeah, that fucking trade. So
we'll come back to the Trademe, right? We'll swing back around to the Trademe because there's more listener feedback about Trademe as well.
Trademe etiquette.
Yeah. So, yeah, where did we get to with the Jab Chat?
51 cases.
Oh, yeah, 51 cases.
Big vaccination drive yesterday.
130,000 people got vaccinated this weekend.
Good on you,
Good on you, New Zealand. Shout out to you, New
Team
Zealand.
of 130,000.
Yeah. 130,000 late people that just got around to it now, but still good. I'm still proud of you.
Because they wanted rugby tickets and or a free pie.
Yeah.
Team of 130,000 people doing it for a pie. But that's good. That's good. Good to see.
I went to Pack and Save the other day, so I'm pretty much guaranteed because I went there like a fucking animal. I might as well have caught the bus.
Why would you go to Pack and Save? There's a countdown just around the corner.
The person I was going shopping with had some vouchers for Pack and Save. You see, so it was like it just made economic sense at the time to drive a million miles to Pack and Save and use these vouchers.
Yeah.
So I went along and I pretty much guaranteed to get COVID there because of the demographic, which is that poorer people shop at Pack and Save because it's cheaper. Makes sense, but also poorer people, it would seem, are having lower rates of vaccination and probably higher rates of COVID. Maybe I don't know about that one.
But I believe that is if you statistically broke it down, that would 100% be the case.
Well, because we know it's going around homeless people and gangs and stuff and not being vaccinated, and obviously there's these gang clusters that we don't know about.
But also young people having sex. Let's not leave them out.
Well, look, young people having sex are definitely part of the problem.
Breaking bubbles and having sex.
Yeah.
Just learn from your elders and just never have sex. All right? Learn from us and never have sex anymore.
Yeah.
And you will be safe. You're welcome. I've solved it.
The rich people, right, they got their vaccines real early with this one. As soon as this came around, the rich people were getting that shit as soon as they could.
Yeah.
So that's a sign, I feel. I feel like that's a sign. That's a sign that you want to be getting that vaccine. If
you want to be a rich person.
Well, you can't. The thing it's uneducated people are often poor because it's hard to get an education when you're poor.
Yes.
But poor people are often uneducated because, you can't get rich without an education either.
Also, poor people are more mistrustful of government edicts and sort of mandated government things because they feel, quite possibly rightly, that the government has let them down. So why should they then do it for the government or, do what the government says when the government is not serving them and helping them get out of the dire circumstances that they're in. So
it's a fuck you 22 for the downtrodden. They've got no choice. You're poor, you can't get an education. or the other way around. You can't get rich because you don't have any education.
Yeah. Whereas that's the thing. So so we're still on level 3. It doesn't look like we'll be changing levels. Anytime soon.
The Houdini genie has escaped the bottle.
Yeah. So Delta is out. And it used to be that they were talking about there's 4 unlinked cases. There's 5 unlinked cases. And then 30 linked. And you go, okay, well, I'm sure they'll find those links in the next few days. Now it's kind of like 50-50. So it's like there was 45 cases. We've got 25 of those linked, 20 unlinked. Of course, the 20 unlinked are the problem because we don't know where those people are going, where it's from, how they got it. I'm still a bit curious. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not curious. I know, but it is, sometimes you wonder, you're like, well, it's popped up in this, in Hamilton again today, or the Waikato today, it's popped up. And it's like, how the fuck did it pop up?
Yeah.
Aren't we all following the rules?
Oh, we've given up.
A lot of us have given up.
Here's the thing. And I don't want to be a naysayer, and I don't want to undermine the goals. I'm fully on board with I believe the only way to get this sorted is to get vaccinated, and we're just going to have to learn to live with it. But
like it or lump it.
As far as I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure this is true, no country that has ever caught the big D, Delta, has eliminated it. That's a fact.
That's true.
So why would we be the first one? It could happen. I'm not saying we can't do it. I hope we can do it. But realistically, even if we do it, it's just a stay of execution. We're going to have to live with it somehow one day, right? So, yeah. COVID-19. COVID-19. You can't hide. You can't hide, COVID.
That's a very deep cut reference.
That
I'm not sure I want to get into. But Richard says on the live stream, level 2.
Sifty 150 Liam Hegarty will know. He will know that one.
He may know it well.
Yeah.
So level 2 on November 1st for Auckland. Take it to the bank. So look, Richard has been right before, and we've been wrong. I said we're not going down to level 3. We said no chance we're going down. We went down. And now he's saying November 1st, level 2. I'm saying no way, level 2. And he's saying take it to the bank.
Yeah. Yeah. Level 2, November 1st. I mean, it's 2 weeks away. But no, it's not. It can't, because we already know. We already know the system. If you've been watching the 1 p.m. updates every day, then you've been told how the system works. The system is we're in level 3. Effectively, we're in level 3.3 or maybe 3.1. I can't quite figure that out. But basically, there's
3.3.
There's 3 stages of level 3.
We haven't even got to the other stages yet.
Each stage is a week. So level 3, we're currently at level 3.3. To get to level 3.2 would have to be 1 week from tomorrow's announcement. Because they're going to announce tomorrow. So tomorrow would be 1 week from then. And then just say best case scenario, 1 week from the following week, and then 1 week from the following week. That's 3 weeks from now. That's not November. And that's just to get down to level 2. And that's at everything going smoothly 100%. So I'm afraid, Richard, that the bank is not going to accept that.
The bank will reject your offer.
Yeah. And
raise you a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
He did also ask, how do you both feel about people should the vax status, right? When should or shouldn't you, or do you feel comfortable asking someone if they're vaccinated or not?
Well, it's a bit awkward, really. I don't particularly feel that comfortable about it because, I mean, it's one thing to get up on the show and mouth off where nobody can reach me, but it's another thing to talk to people in person about this. And so, not really. I mean, I feel like it probably should become acceptable, though, to ask people about it and get talking about it. But I don't you don't want to make these people pariahs, but on the other hand, you also need to get those motherfuckers vaxxed. And you should be able to ask, for example, if you're running an establishment or having a party, you're going to go, look, I don't want, if you're here and you're unvaccinated, you've got a higher chance of having this virus. It's not a made up thing. It's not a this is not a made-up thing. This is a literal global pandemic, and all the scientists are in agreement here. So it's like, if you show up to the party and you're unvaccinated, you are more likely to have caught COVID-19 from the supermarket earlier that day, or last week, or whenever it was. So
or whenever you had that unprotected sex,
or whenever
from
you had
that Tinder date,
that Tinder bubble burst.
Yep.
And then so you're more likely to actually have it. And then you show up to my party, and my party becomes a cluster. And you go, well, everybody will be vaccinated, Harley. They'll all be vaccinated. If you're all vaccinated, why are you scared of the unvaccinated person? Because it's not 100% effective. Okay, we've established this. They go, the same people, they also say, but it's not even 100% effective. And it's like, yes, don't you get it? It's not 100% effective. So you have it. It's a layer of protection, but I can still catch it from you if you show up to the party unvaccinated. And you're more likely to catch it than my other vaccinated guest. So you are causing a risk to the party. That's the problem. And then directly to my health, because even though I've got a lower chance of getting it, I can still get it. And Delta, it is said, spreads through these household contacts if you're spending too much time together. So
you're going to be asking
who?
At our next Pigville party.
At our next Pigville party, yeah.
Everyone has to be vaxxed at our next Pigville party.
Yeah.
Unless you're a hot girl.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Even if you're a hot girl.
Even if you're a hot girl. Well,
and no questions asked.
And well, yeah, I mean, we haven't really spoken about this on the show due to it being an ongoing situation, and I don't discuss current affairs. But my flatmate is vaccine hesitant, and it's somewhat of an issue potentially.
Could
not yet, but potentially an issue.
Could be a huge issue.
Yeah,
huge issue.
So this is we'll keep the listeners updated on this without delving too deep, hopefully. Yet.
So. For me, I would say that, for instance, any film set so any time I'm making a movie, my first question to all the crew and all the actors is going to be, are you vaccinated? And if the answer is no, then I'm going to be like, well, fuck, you probably can't be on set, which is going to create problems both for me, because there'll be a lot of talented people that presumably haven't done it or chosen not to or something. But the thing is, especially on a small film set, I guess I consider it a kind of a safety precaution. Like, it's like in the same way that I don't really expect to get any work if I wasn't vaccinated. So if I, if I go, cool, I'm going to come and film your thing, and they go, are you vaccinated? And I go, nah, don't believe in it. And then they go, cool, we'll find someone who does believe in it. Just obviously safety precautions. If you come in and give it to a whole bunch of people, whether they're vaccinated or not, that creates more problems. That has the potential to shut down our set, blah, blah, blah. So, it's just a common sense safety practice now, going forward, for anyone in the film industry. The film industry is this, me and you, hanging out this close to each other and breathing Delta at each other. That's what it is, and that's not even, we haven't even got it into the sex scenes yet. So
actors inevitably have to be quite close to each other and unmasked.
So
even if it's not a sex scene.
Exactly. So, that's just a common sense thing. So I do think we have to ask that. And then obviously that goes back one step, because then it's like, okay, well, are you putting those practices in your sort of general day-to-day life when possible as well? Like when you throw the Pigville parties. It's a vax party, baby. Everyone vaxxed.
Or maybe we could get somebody from get somebody from the Ministry of Health around to the party, and they could give some vaccinations out at the party. We'll give you a beer and a vaccination if you come to the Pigville party.
Yeah.
Just kidding. The Pigville party is very exclusive.
Well, we might give them a beer.
Well, we won't. I'm saying we won't invite them because they're so exclusive.
JC Plus says the Richies will be flying to Wanaka, so we're all guilty. Proud Pack and Save buyer. Well, we're all proud Pack and Save buyers here.
Pack and Save represent.
But yeah, so that's where I stand on this vaccination situation.
Yeah, well, it's a race against time now, and the question is, will a high enough percentage of the population get vaccinated before the virus starts causing a real and noticeable strain on our healthcare system.
Which we're not actually that far away from happening.
Well, yes. Well, exactly.
I read a report from the person who's in charge of that, and they're like, I think they said they can do 150 hospital beds before they're stretched past capacity.
And that's just...
that's not many.
That's not many. And it's not many considering there's other people that are having heart attacks and breaking their legs and, having other injuries as well all the time. And it could be me and it could be you and it could be any one of the listeners. And obviously if the system is overwhelmed, that means you get shittier healthcare. So that's why it concerns me about this ignorant vocal minority of imbeciles. And I'm hoping that they don't succeed in killing a lot of people and dragging our civilization.
Killing their loved ones.
Back a few years and killing their loved ones, exactly. So...
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's a ripple effect.
Well,
I think that's the important thing. Sometimes I see with the anti-vaxxers, they're like, there's only a 3% death rate.
It's actually way lower than that. It's not 3%, but 3 is actually a lot.
But it's like, yes, absolutely. But it's about the hospitalization rate. And then from the hospitalization rate...
What about the economic impacts?
From the hospitalization rate, the death rate of the taxed hospital versus the fully functional hospital rate. And those things are much more important than the death rate. Also, let us not forget, long COVID, which... I know 2 people that have long COVID, like as in personal people that are suffering from long COVID. And it sounds fucking horrible. And
I ain't getting that shit.
And it's we don't know how long that long COVID lasts if it ever stops, right? We haven't found that out because we've all only just started getting it. And again, just just people sort of shrugging their shoulders at all these things. It's very upsetting to me.
It's frustrating.
It's upsetting.
It's frustrating because just say we do succeed, we get the vaccination rates high enough that we always kind of keep it under control. Everything's fine. We handle it. We manage it because we've had a year and a half to kind of adjust to this concept already. We've got a first world medical system and we've got reasonably high vaccination rates. And then we get the vaccination rates high enough that basically nothing ever really goes wrong. The shit doesn't hit the fan. We succeed at what we are all trying to do together. It's going to be very frustrating when that happens because the anti-vaxxers will then say, see, nothing even happened. What a tempest in a teapot.
We shut down the whole thing for months. All those businesses lost their thing for nothing.
They lost money.
Because look what happened when we opened up.
I'm so glad I didn't get the vaccine. Dumb cunts. Not our anti-vax listeners, though. Our anti-vax listeners are not dumb cunts. Shout out to our anti-vax listeners. I'm glad you're here. It's nice to have a differing opinion, even if I feel like you are harming our society and potentially destroying a lot of lives.
It's interesting because I feel so passionately about this as a sort of a problem, right? It's a problem. Misinformation is a problem. The kind of movement of this free choice. This is my choice. It's my choice. And it's like, yeah, man, it's your choice if it's just you. It's your choice if it's just you. If you want to drink yourself to death, even though you do potentially put a strain on the healthcare system, and as long as you don't drive drunk anywhere and don't hurt anyone when you get drunk, if you want to drink yourself to fucking death because it's my choice, sweet. But when you say it's my choice, but you, in your choosing, choose to infect many, many other people through your choice, that's not your choice anymore. It's you are choosing to do something that's damaging not to just you. And all you're doing is then also sort of ignoring other people. I just
it's the smoker in the train carriage metaphor. Which one is free? The smoker who smokes in the carriage, or the non-smoker who's stuck in there with the person smoking?
But
which one of them's free? They both can. Is the smoker banned from smoking and that infringes on the smoker's freedom? Or is the smoker smoking infringing on the freedom of the person who doesn't smoke, who wants to be able to sit there and not have carcinogens blown into their lungs?
Very good. Very good analogy, Harley.
Similar.
I always look at it like, you know, when people are sort of like, it's not that effective, you can still catch it and give it to people. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, you can. But, you know, if someone said to you, hey, guess what? We've just found out cancer is contagious.
Shit!
You can give it to other people.
Oh, fuck!
Okay? But here's the good news. We have a vaccine that makes so if you catch it, but you take this vaccine, you have, let's just say, twice as much chance of living as you would otherwise. You have a 50% more higher chance of living, right? And also, the other good news is you're much less likely to give your contagious cancer to anyone else, okay? If you just have this, but it's not 100% effective. You know, that's the bad news. And it's still, you know, you still have the potential that, yeah, maybe it is, you could still spread it, but it's not a very high, it's a much lower chance. And everyone just goes, well, if it's not 100% effective.
So fuck it.
So fuck it. Of course you go, well, fucking jab me up, man. Of course I want 50% less chance of cancer. Of course I want, I don't know, 70% less chance of giving cancer to my loved ones or to my family or to someone that I just met down the street. Of course I'd love to do that. Bring it on. But because it's not cancer, because it's just the flu, just a lot of dipshits out there.
Yeah, well, one thing can be assumed, and that is that after all of this blows over one way or the other, the dipshits will still be out there, and they will continue.
And in greater numbers.
The
Dipshits will return, and in greater numbers.
And they will continue heaving on the chains around society's pillars. Our job is not to actually to control these people. It's not, and it's not to punish them. But it is to educate and to spread reputable information with citations and to educate people and tell them the pros and cons in a personable type of way. I feel this is really the only way to get around it.
A lot of great information on the Ministry of Health's website.
Yeah, but it's so boring, right? Who wants to go there? You know, look at this fucking YouTube video. It's from Dr. Chad69.
Oh, no, this priest is talking about God will save me.
Yeah, God will save me.
It's in God's plan. It's
good.
My body. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So that's our COVID update.
That is Jab Chat finished.
Jab
How
Chat.
long was that, Jamie Oxley? Let us know next episode. Now, I mentioned last week briefly that I had an audition. And I didn't finish really the sentence.
You complained about the fact you had an audition.
Well, yeah, I just said that I don't really like doing self-tapes because you're essentially shooting a short film for them and it's for no reason because 99.99% of the time you don't get the role. So it's even harder than just going and like showing up to an audition is kind of a pain. You drive down there, you get it done, it's done. Whereas, you got to shoot it, you got to edit it, you got to export it, you got to send it, all that stuff. Pain in the ass.
You're
Cameras,
really self-tough.
You need a help. You need a helper. You need an assistant.
Yeah,
you need someone to read across from you. You know, like it's not a dedicated space. You got to find an appropriate space. It's kind of a pain in the ass, these self-tape auditions. But I have to do them because this is the world I live in now. And I did one last week, and I just got the news on Friday that I am on the short list for it. And they're doing a police check on me, which means they're spending money on me now. They're now spending money to make sure
40 big ones.
$40 big ones on me to check to see if I've got any criminal convictions. But fortunately, I've never been caught.
Next question will be, are you vaxxed up?
Well, and luckily I am because, what I did, I took the initiative when I heard that Shortland Street was only accepting vaxxed up actors and that they were like because basically with Shortland Street, they film something like 8 weeks ahead at a time. And they've got 8 episodes in the can ready to rock. So the next 8 weeks is ready to go. Then they've got 8 weeks to shoot, 8 more or whatever it works out to be. That's roughly what they do.
They've got 8 weeks to write some of the worst television in New Zealand history
Shortland
within
Street.
that 8 weeks. They have an 8-week window to shit out some more scripts.
Shortland Street is a national treasure. Shortland Street is a national treasure. And I would love to be on Shortland Street. If any of the casting people from Shortland Street are watching, I would love the opportunity, sir, or miss, ma'am. And so, anyway, normally what they do is they've got 8 weeks in the can, and then they shoot the next 8 weeks as that's airing. Roughly, I'm making it up as I go, but this is the gist of it. And then what they did during lockdown was they had to chew up like 6 weeks of it before they could get down to level 3 to shoot something. And so they've got a big, they've only got a really short runway of like 1 or 2 episodes, and they can only use vaccinated actors. So I was like, oh, this is a COVID ladder. This is a fucking COVID ladder. If ever I saw one, this is a COVID ladder. So I emailed my agent and I sent through my COVID vaccination thing. And I was
took
like,
a little photo of the card.
I'm around. No, not the card. I got emailed a proper thing from the government saying that I'm vaccinated.
Oh, I didn't get one of those.
Well, you might want to look into that, mate.
I just got a little purple card they wrote out for me at the pharmacy twice.
I'll try to get you out of the camp one day when the camp comes. But I've got my paperwork in order. And so, yes, so that's where they're at. So I emailed them all my details, saying like, hey, I'm ready to rock. And so back to the ad audition though. I'm on the short list and they're spending money on me now. So I'm feeling confident that tomorrow or the next day when my police check comes back clean
as a whistle,
hopefully I'll be hearing something, and hopefully that something will be, yes, Mr. Neville, you have the role. The thing is, though, that it's a degrading, low-paying ad for a finance company in which I have to wear a dress and show off my hairy back. So
for comedic effect.
And it's not even high-paying. It's $4,500, but then by the time you take away tax and commission, you're coming away with like $2,900 or something like that after degrading yourself and encouraging, poor people to borrow money at high interest rates.
And also,
presumably.
For
I mean,
people,
I don't know anything about the company.
For people to laugh at your physical appearance.
For people to laugh at my physical appearance.
So
Richard John Candy? Was it John Candy? No, it wasn't John Candy, was it? It's not John Candy. It was a different comedian, a different fat comedian that died in his 30s, who was Chevy Chase? No, it wasn't him.
Well, John Candy did die very young of a heart attack.
Okay. Anyway, there was a skit with Patrick Swayze where Patrick Swayze's all sexy and this guy's all fat on Saturday Night Live. And they say it contributed to his... he's a funny comedian, but overall it contributed to his...
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, that's the one. That's him.
Or John Belushi now, I'm guessing.
No, it was Chris Farley.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Chris Farley. And he died, a tragic death with, drugs and...
Coked up, out of his mind.
Health problems and all that combined. And they say that, the article I read was saying, hey, maybe this fat skit was actually quite damaging to him as an individual, as a person. The skit where he's laughed at for the state of his fat guts, right? And well, that'll be me in this ad, showing off my hairy back on national television while I'm at my fattest and most disgusting as well. I had to put my suit on for that audition, right? I had to put my suit on for that audition, and let me tell you, the shirts were comically small.
Yeah, it was squeezing into what are those sausages? Squeezing
exactly
into
the
thing.
Yeah. It was like a raw sausage squishing out of its skin. And when I put the shirt on, it was like a raw sausage squishing out from between the buttons. And I can't get fat, Guy, because I'm already short, bald, and hairy. And there's nothing against short, bald, hairy, and fat guys. You just don't really want to be all four. You know what I mean?
You don't want to hit what's called a 4-quadrant of ugliness in the studio. In the studios, a 4-quadrant movie is something that appeals to all the different demographics. A 4-quadrant of ugliness is when you repel people in all the different areas that you can possibly repel someone.
That's interesting.
And you've hit you're on the verge of hitting the 4 quadrants.
Yeah. Well, I just call it level 4.
You're going up to level 4.
I'm currently at level 3, and I sort
You're
of
at level
I'd like to stay here.
3.3.
I'm at level 3.3.
And you don't want to go back up to level 4.
I don't want to go up to level 4, exactly.
Yeah.
But shout out to our short, bald, hairy, and fat listeners, which is most of you. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym on Tuesday. Now you might be saying, "How are you going to the gym? It's level 3." Well, my gym is doing a couple of outdoor classes with small, socially distanced outdoor classes with just a few people doing a bit of exercise. And so I've signed up. I'm going along. I'm doing bar attack, which is the ballet class. It's where you sort of you've got a bar beside you, and you sort of hold onto the bar and kind of point your toes and do some squats and other types of stretching and pull-ups on the bar. It's very ballet inspired, and so I've been doing that for years, believe it or not, and I quite enjoy it. I think it's quite good, and so I'm doing that on Tuesday. I'm getting off the fat wagon. That's it.
So Richard is telling me that this is my vax card, my purple COVID vax card, means nothing.
I'm pretty sure.
I need a printout.
Well, it's so fakeable, right? That's not government official. This is just given to you by the person that vaccinated you, who could be your mate. And it's just handwritten and everything like that.
I mean, they'd have to print out all this stuff.
Yeah, sure. But
does it take much effort?
The issue is not the card.
Oh, well, it does have a batch number.
Yeah.
Maybe they can cross-reference that.
Well, it is something, but you might want to look into figuring out where that email went, because...
I never got that email.
Well, did you... I mean, I don't know how. They just emailed me. They emailed me they were like, congratulations, Mr. Neville, here's your vaccination thing. But maybe they're not emailing everybody.
No, I think they've stopped doing that after the last 130,000.
Yeah.
Because that's actually a lot of emails.
Well, I was
that's someone's going to be typing hard.
I was an early
adopter.
Earlier settler, of the vaccine. So maybe that's why I got it. Speaking of early adopters of the vaccine, shout out to Jason P. Diddy Combs, who is not commenting, but he did say he was going to tune in live.
I assume he's fallen asleep.
I assume so, but shout out to Jason anyway. Good man that he is. He tunes in, and he's in America, and it's obviously far too late in America for people to stay up.
Well, it is getting pretty late over there.
Yeah.
So... couple things.
Okay.
The new Batman trailer.
Oh, yeah. I watched that.
Oh, really?
I did watch that, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Well, I have mentioned before that I'm actually quite up to date with pop culture.
I had to make you watch Drake's Hotline Bling in advance of replicating a dance that he does, which is incredibly famous.
Yeah.
And which you had literally no clue of the other day.
No, but I had seen the meme. So I grasped what it was, and I had seen him boogieing. I just didn't really realize that people thought that dance was
memeable,
weird, or whatever, or interesting somehow. Yes, well, I watched it, and obviously you were going to talk about it, but I'll just jump right in and say, and I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to jump in and say
pop culture reference from like fucking 5 years ago.
That it looked like shit. It looked like it looked like they had gone back on the formula, back to like, just kind of silly action instead of like good, interesting psychological sort of thriller. Like the latest, like for example, the latest the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix in it. What's that one? Joker. That that was good. The Batman, the original Batman Dark Knight Rises. The original Christian Bale one. That was good. That was good stuff. And then this one looked a bit like, just looked like silly action again. Looked like that maybe they were focusing on the action a little bit more. And I was like, okay, action movie, is it? Now, I know it's Batman. It's meant to be an action movie. But I'm just saying.
Pretty sure it's meant to be an action movie.
But Joker wasn't, for example. And Joker was pretty good.
Yeah, but
Joker was good stuff.
You'd be pissed off if you watched a Batman movie without any action. He's just doing some detective work and hanging out as Bruce Wayne. Like, what the fuck is this?
And then reporting his findings to the police.
Commissioner Gordon, yes, the Riddler's up to no good again. If you could take care of that, please. I'll be off doing some more detective work. You won't see any action in this because Harley doesn't like action movies.
No, look, it looked fine. It looked okay. But I was not like, oh, I really want to see that. I was like, oh, okay. It doesn't look as good as The Dark Knight Rises. Or Joker.
So they're setting it up as if the main antagonist is the Riddler.
Right. Yeah, hence the question mark.
Hence the question mark in his mochaccino.
Yeah.
Let's think about that for a second. Now, it's a cool visual, right? So what happens is at the start of the thing.
Start of the trailer.
Right. Someone gets taken away, presumably the Riddler, and he leaves a green and white...
He's in a cafe.
Cup of coffee, right? And we push in... It's actually a flat white, I'm sure, right? We push in on his flat white and over the top, and there's a question mark in the flat white. Now, on one hand, you go, whoa, that's cool. That's really interesting. That's cool. On the other hand, you go, what in the flying fuck how did the Riddler sit down and he goes, flat white, please? And he goes, hey, could you put a question mark in it?
Please?
Can I have a question mark in my flat white, please?
I'm not going to...
Like, let's really think this through.
I'm not going to drink it. I'm just going to sit and stare at it as well.
Yeah, because I want to leave that. But, you know, I don't want the question mark in my flat white disturbed. Also,
maybe this is part of his plan. You haven't seen the movie. Maybe he left it there because he knew he was getting arrested.
Also, could you make this mug... like, you know, the mug that you give me, I know that you've got your regular, you know, mugs up there, but I want one that is color-coded to my identity, so I'm looking for sort of a green and white. You got anything green and white?
Guy, as a filmmaker, you should know that's called foreshadowing, mate.
Yeah, so I want the question mark in my mocha, and I want it on a green and white, so everyone knows who asked for this question mark. What the fuck? That's the dumbest thing ever if you really think about it. Now, move past the question mark mochaccino / flat white. You know, we don't know whether he likes mochachinos or flat whites. To me, it looked like it could be either.
Okay.
So, just so in case
but I'm sure it's relevant. I'm sure it's relevant.
In case you're wondering what kind of coffee the Riddler likes, we have not established that. And hopefully, the movie will make that clearer. You know, hopefully we start that scene earlier and he goes, can I have a flat white with a question mark on the top, please? Or he got his flat white, and he goes, cool.
Maybe
this isn't Riddler enough for me. I'm gonna do a little bit of
maybe he works at that cafe, and this is his after work coffee, and he's just finished his shift, and he's having an after work coffee, and he's the barista, and so he made himself a question mark coffee.
Yeah, I guess if the only way that this makes any fucking sense is if Riddler owns a coffee shop. He's a barista. He's a barista, and obviously he's into riddles.
Yeah.
So one of the things he does is makes a coffee with a question mark in it because he likes riddles. But if that's not the explanation, we're off to a real bad start with Batman. Because that's fucking dumb. That's movie dumb right there. Okay? But moving on, the actual, like, the sort of the rest of the trailer, for me at least, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty good. Like, visually, it looks striking. Batman is mainly in the darkness, which I think is very important.
I didn't like how he was all glittery.
Well, I just thought that, like, one of the biggest fails of the Christian Bale Batman is he starts...
His voice was so stupid.
It wasn't good, but...
It was so stupid.
The shift from...
Where is he?
He starts in the shadows, and then he slowly progresses out of the shadows into having full-on fights in broad daylight, in which case, he's just a man in a silly plastic suit.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at, like, obviously, if you're just walking down a dark alley after having mugged someone, and then Batman drops in that dark alley, you're going to be like, oh, shit! You're the Batman! But if Batman, like, literally is down on the street, broad daylight, and he just drops down in front of you, you're going to burst out laughing.
Well, you might get a bit of a fright.
Or if he drops out right in front of you, you get a fight. But if you just saw him and he's like, it's me, Batman.
He's like, I'm Batman.
Yeah, like as soon as that happens, it's pure comedy from then on. So I do feel like it's good. Keep him out. Basically, and we all know this about Batman, but it's a very important thing for the movies to establish, is that Batman can only fight crime in the nighttime. So if any crime happens in the day, he can't do anything about it because he's not scary or intimidating in the day. He's just a silly plastic-suited man. And so therefore, crimes must be committed towards the end of the day, golden hour at the very earliest, but preferably dusk or later, because otherwise Batman just can't do anything about it. So, you know, that's something that we need to bring forward. But the rest of the thing was cool. The one thing I didn't like is Batman's floppy hair in this one. His sort of undercutty floppy hair. Really, I was like, Batman, if he's Bruce Wayne, the hair is slicked back. We all know that about Bruce Wayne, right? It's not flopping about in his face. He's not
like an emo teenager.
Yeah, he's not I mean, he is an angry emo, but he's not an angry emo teen. He's a refined billionaire emo who puts some gel in his hair.
Yeah.
We all know that. So I wasn't a big fan of the floppy hair Bruce Wayne. Okay, so that's, you know, mark off against that one. Second mark off, the bat suit. The bat suit looked a little too combat-y for me.
I didn't mind it.
What I mean, but you know, it just looked like
I thought the Batmobile was a little bit underwhelming.
The bat suit was just a bit too. I'm a leather biker.
Yeah,
I'm a leather biker.
Yeah,
and
it would be like that though. I think in real life.
Oh, exactly. It's getting more realistic, but I like the sort of faker, can't turn your head Batman. That's my if Batman can turn his head like this, that's not the real Batman. That's not my real Batman. That's not my Batman.
Where is he?
You need to turn like
Where is he?
You need to turn with your whole body. And also that makes you better at fighting, because if you turn with your whole body, you're more prepared for the action that's coming at you. If you just turn your head, guess what? That's when you get punched. Exactly. Yeah. But whereas if you throw a punch now, Harley, see, I blocked it because I turned my whole body, as Batman needs to do. He shouldn't be able to turn his neck. We all know that about Batman. So
it's a tactical advantage.
Yeah. So this whole kind of combat bat suit, which they also kind of leaned into with Christian Bale's one, I was not a big fan of. So, you know, 2 marks against it. The Riddler's cup of coffee in the beginning, pure silliness. You know, the barista Riddler, not working.
The Riddler,
floppy Bruce Wayne, floppy emo, Twilight. What do we want to evoke? Twilight. Robert Pattinson's a great actor, but do we want to evoke feelings of I can't Edward and Twilight? Really? Can we not just slick his hair back a little bit? Okay. And then the bat suit, especially with like the combat boots and stuff, it just seemed a bit, But
it just looked to me like it really wasn't bringing anything new.
Who are you? I'm vengeance.
When this light turns on, it's not just a signal. It's a warning.
I'm vengeance.
This light in the Pigville Productions studio when we get started with the Guy and Harley podcast. I've got some listener feedback here, and we can get back to your Trademe adventures, which I know the listeners are
waiting on the edge of their
seats for. So I did mention that Jamie Oxley wants to know if the Trademe guy got back to the real guy, but also I've got feedback here from Sam Elton Walters from the Chris and Sam podcast. Go check out the Chris and Sam podcast if you haven't already. It's another Kiwi filmmaking related podcast. Chris and Sam, and they're good guys too. And so Sam from the Chris and Sam podcast says, great episode. I loved the talk about props people. This is talking about last week's episode when we were talking about making crappy props sometimes and good props. Great episode. Loved the talk about props people. I helped out on a short film once. The prop guy had to make a fake dog. The head and front legs were realistic as, but the body was a bucket. A white bucket. He didn't paint it brown to match the rest of it when it came to shooting, so it didn't work at all. I'd also like an update on the Trademe story. I agree with Guy. They should reply sooner, but some people take so long to just reply. It's like they don't want my money. Also, I think that some people do freak out as the item hasn't sold for as much as they would have liked. So that's a double-pronged one there for you guys. It's the props and also the Trademe.
Well, that's the thing. So we talked about our sort of fake-looking axe, but that wasn't the only sort of maybe dubious prop that we had on I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. There were quite a lot of these props that we'd have where you'd they'd be like, cool, what do we need specifically for this scene? We need this. Okay, what does the script say about this prop? Like, what is this prop doing? Okay, it's being used in all these different ways. Okay, cool. All right, here you go. And you look at the prop and you go, okay, that does not look good. That looks very fake. But also, it almost appears that you have not read the script, and you do not know what this prop is meant to be used for. The thing you just wrote a list at the beginning of your script breakdown as you're sort of, turning the pages super quick, and you just wrote, and you were like, okay, needs a prop X. Okay, prop X, check, prop X. You did not read that the axe was going to be used to behead a zombie. You did not read that the axe was going to be used to split a zombie in half. You did not read that the axe was sort of a pivotal hero prop. You just wrote down axe, and then you wrote down next to it cardboard, and then you combined those things and handed it over on the day. So there was quite a lot of that on the zombie film. Props that were not good enough for what they were required to do for the duration of the shoot. So I sort of see the bucket, because
they weren't built with practicality in mind.
They certainly weren't. But the bucket dog is a good example, because he's like, okay, I've got this realistic bit, but I've got the back half as a bucket that I have not painted. And so when you go to filming that, you go, well, there's not many angles that we can't see this bucket part of the dog, which and if you read the script, the dog is lying there, not a bucket. That's what it said in the script.
Not a bucket.
Not a bucket. A full prop dog is lying there dead, not a bucket. Not half dog, half bucket. But these get thrown out the window. There is sometimes a lot of artistic liberty taken with the need for a prop. So been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But it is very depressing and disheartening when you come on set and that happens, because essentially every shot that you planned that day is probably being thrown out in favor of a whole set of new worse shots that have to some degree accommodate and conceal the shortcomings of the prop, and so suddenly you're like, okay, well, everything's fucked then. I mean, our prop hand, not our prop arm, but our prop hand that got chopped off. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember that one. Because I went around to the prop guy's house to get my hand made, because my hand had to get chopped off.
Yeah.
So I went round to the prop guy's house, and there's a spoiler alert if you haven't seen I Survived a Zombie Holocaust yet. Came out in 2015, but do go check it out if you haven't. So I had to stick my arm into a long tube of gloop and sort of hold my hand there to get the cast made of my arm. And we already had a very excellent arm made by Runs with Scissors, 5150 listener. Shout out to Runs with Scissors. We had a very high quality arm already, so we knew what these things looked like, and I had to put my arm in there and do it. And then when it showed up, now I don't have pretty hands. I wouldn't say I have pretty hands. No. Would you describe my hands as pretty, Guy?
Stubby,
certainly not pretty, but even my hands,
stubby sizzlers.
Even my hands are not as hideous as this deformed little wee hand that had been made.
That clearly wasn't really taken from the mold, surely.
Well, I think,
or it had been taken from the mold, and then when they pulled it out,
I think it just wasn't a good mold.
It melted
Yeah.
and sort of became deformed.
I think that he essentially just failed to do the mold
Properly.
You know,
And then made a mold of that failure.
It could have been, it was a mold of his failure
Yeah.
to be immortalized on film.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, it could have been me when I pulled my hand out type thing. But of course, the actor's going to pull their hand out, right? So your job as the person creating it is to know that and figure it out and make it work, you know? And so yeah, it wasn't too great. We sort of had to shoot around it to make it look not too terrible.
Yeah, the conversation I had was like, okay, well, we can't go too close with it. We can't, again, it was like, here's all the shots that we planned. We can't use any of those shots. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to cut to it real quick for like 1 second and then just show his real hand the whole rest of the time.
Yeah.
Because we absolutely can only show this for about less than 24 frames. So less than a second is all you can. So you maybe we're like 14 frames. We can see this mutant hand for 14 frames. And maybe that's going to, people won't realize how terrible this mutant melted half hand is that is sitting there, which is a key hero prop and a key hero scene. The whole scene is built around this moment.
He was a nice guy, but it was just there was too many situations where this things just didn't work.
It was
the squibs and
built
this hand.
around the whole thing was built around this one moment, his hand being chopped off. It's like the only thing that is key right now is getting a good hand and a good chop. And it was like, I can't remember. I think someone joked it was like someone had like baked a cake hand.
Yeah, it's a big
and it was like a birthday cake shaped like a hand.
Yeah, it was. And when it got hit, I feel like there's this kind of not realistic looking blood sort of jelly that comes out.
Yeah, like
you know,
as if you cut open your cake and
there's some jelly inside.
It's some jelly inside.
I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Go and check it out. It's on iTunes, it's on Amazon and various other places. Go check it out.
So I totally relate to the bucket dog scenario. So yeah, the cake hand. And yeah, there was I one of your favorite jokes was referencing a terrible film, Scary Movie 2.
Yeah. Which
has a whole joke about a guy with a little mutated hand.
Oh yeah.
And
no, child. Grab my strong hand. You got to grab my strong hand.
Now, to be fair, that joke in it is probably the best part of the whole thing. And then he starts putting his like little
gross
hand in the cake, in the food and stuff, and like just it's silly, it's comedic. In fact, you can almost see the evolution. Why
was that my favorite joke though?
Oh, because I believe on set you're like you have to use my strong hand, child. Whenever we got round to sort of use my strong hand, was a joke that was.
It does sound like something I would say.
Said a lot on set to belittle the SFX guy. So anyway, watch Scary Movie 2 for that joke. It's worth it.
I'm sure I didn't do it in front of him.
You can find the clip on you. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that he sort of showed up, put the cake hand down, and kind of fucking slithered out of the room, like so no one could be like, where the fuck's the real prop?
Yeah,
why is this birthday cake hand here? And what can we do with that? Skulked away. So yeah, but anyway, the Trademe story is no sooner had I complained about that at 24.5 hours after initial purchase of said goods, I received an email, which, to be fair, did have an apology, like, sorry, been busy or something, like, as in an acknowledgement of there had been a significant delay. So
and you're like, you're in lockdown, motherfucker.
I do. So
what do you mean busy?
See, this is
nobody's busy.
So the other thing that I was waiting on. So that's a great segue, Harley. Into I was waiting on a denim jacket which we needed for a skit that we were filming in lockdown, time travel skit, and I was waiting on this denim jacket for like 4 or 5 days. Now, bear in mind, this person lives in Auckland. Right? This person doesn't even live that far away Okay? And had I known that there was going to be some huge delays, I would have gone, look, just pop in your letterbox, mate, and I'll fucking pick it up, right? But I didn't know any of that. All I got was no response for like 3 or 4 days, so well past the 24 hours. And I was like, excuse me, I'm waiting on this denim jacket. Any update? Because I paid for it via Ping, so instantaneous payment, right? The guy replied to me the following week, right? So this had already been like 5 days, right? Which it should have been in my fucking house. He just lives down the road. And his excuse was, oh, sorry, we're in lockdown over here. Now, 2 things. We're on level 3 lockdown, so the things had lifted. We weren't on level 4, right?
You can find a way to get that jacket to him.
You can also post on level 3 and level 4 with a courier, right? So it's actually not that hard, right? And I did pay some money for postage.
Do you have a printer?
I do.
Because that's handy for printing
It is.
postage. I didn't really think about the fact that you've got one, and so I haven't posted my camera to be fixed.
Yeah, so I essentially flew into a rage.
Yeah.
But I didn't, now to be fair, I didn't like, he goes, posted today, which was like 5 or 6 days after the fact. And I really wanted it the week before so we could get going on filming this thing. But anyway, but I was
no worries. I didn't know my lines, so you had to wait a few extra days anyway.
Well, you didn't know your lines on the day after the few extra days,
well,
to be fair.
Yeah. No, I knew them pretty good. All things considered. Considering this trash that I had to read.
So, yeah, but I just thought his, so we're on lockdown over here. Yeah, me too, motherfucker. I live just around the corner from you. And that's not an excuse because you can still post things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on lockdown last week. Oh, were we? Really? You know where you're sending this is Auckland as well. In a suburb nearby to you. You do realize we're all in the same lockdown with the same restrictions.
Well, mate, think about how dumb the average person is, and then realize that half of them are dumber than that. To quote the late great George Carlin.
So yes, I eventually got that denim jacket. Harley didn't continue to not learn his lines, and we filmed that skit.
To be fair, I had my very large events happening at exactly that time.
That's true.
We film festival.
We actually had to postpone for the big star.
The big star.
Star of the show. We had to postpone.
No, guy was like, "Hey, so can we do this tomorrow?" And I was like, "You know that I've got an annual event." Like tomorrow or the next day or something, you know, I've got several events in a row. These are annual events that we work towards for months beforehand, and they're happening literally right now. He's like, "Hey, can you film tomorrow?" No, but I did squeeze it in for Monday. It was like Friday, so I was like, "How about Monday?"
That's true.
You know, and then I showed up, dressed to the part, and ready to do some work. And we got it done.
We did.
It was quick and it was easy and it was fun.
It was a funny scene. No doubt about that.
I'm interested to see how it goes. Referencing random 80s things I've never seen. No,
Well,
I had seen them.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's because it's a time travel thing.
Yeah.
Which heavily references The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Which is now bordering on,
50 years old.
35 years old, right? So, it's not a new film.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a classic, and we all, not all of us, film nerds probably know it and have watched it. But, for a significant amount of people, especially people YouTubing my channel,
they're like, I don't get this.
It's quite abstract, you might say, because it's kind of like, what the fuck are this? What?
The thing is that comedy has become timeless because of memes. So they might still actually know and kind of get it anyway.
Eat my shorts.
So, that's the great thing about memes. They've made all this sort of timeless, like it's not really relevant now when it was made, as long as somebody makes a meme of it now. It works.
I've just finished. Oh, I spoke too soon. I've just about finished that skit now.
Which one? Because there's two the bug one.
The 1980s one.
Right. Why is that getting priority over the bug one? Listen, Harley, the bug thing, it just didn't really work. Look.
Because the bug thing
we're not going to be releasing this one, okay?
Well, there's two things. So one is the skit is based around a piece of software that I only have a month trial to. Mm-hmm. So I need to use the software in the skit.
It needs to be done quickly.
Yeah. So that's one reason.
So that's one reason why it hasn't been done.
No.
That's why you're prioritizing.
No,
so you're prioritizing the 80s one. I see because
we need that.
Okay, I'm with you.
So that's one reason. The other reason is the actual whole sort of talking head portion, which happened. The skit is just an entree. The skit is actually not the most important thing. The skit is just like a funny aside to the actual thing, which is talking about this software.
It's an intro to the tutorial.
Yeah, and so the issue with the Premiere one is it takes a lot of sort of shooting side-by-side comparisons.
Yeah, the bug one.
Between these two things. So I just knew that, and some solid VFX of bugs, which I have not asked a friend of the show, Tyler Adams, about yesterday.
There's a large bug on the floor over there.
Well, there's more than one.
I thought, surely you used that.
I did.
Sure.
Well, actually, no. So that one is new.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a big cockroach dead on the floor. It's been there for he says it's new. It's been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that one is new relative to the cockroach that we filmed with.
This studio is available for hire, so if you would like to hire
it
just slide into our DMs.
It does have a cockroach problem.
The Guy and Harley podcast.
It does have a cockroach. I'm not going to deny that. It does have a cockroach problem. And essentially, you just see them dead around the entranceway. I told the story of the little cockroach running for his life, panicked as his life force quickly evaporated, and he didn't understand why or what. So he only knew one thing to do, which was to run and to run anywhere.
Yeah.
And that is a metaphor for us in life.
Yes.
So that happens quite regularly here in the studio with these cockroaches. They just kind of come here to die. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. It's quite scary when you find a live one, which you do. So, yeah, that's the issue with the.
Meanwhile, my nickname around here is Rat Hacker, because I hacked that rat up in a manly fashion while Guy was scared of the cockroaches.
Yeah.
But in the studio, which is available for hire, I recorded an episode of Meet the Festivals, which is an annual event that I do for Show Me Shorts Film Festival as part of my job. And basically we have a chat to a panel of film festival directors from around the world, from reputable, well-established film festivals. And so my job as the host is to have a chat to them and try and figure out how we as filmmakers can succeed at getting our films into film festivals. Any tricks or tips or trends that are coming from the film, from the festival directors. This is all the type of stuff I was sort of trying to find out. And so I held that event right here.
What's the trends? And
it
what's
looks really
the tricks?
good. Well, I got bad news for you, mate.
Yeah.
Got real bad news for you. Now, you might subconsciously have acknowledged this, but outwardly you may not have yet. I'm not sure. But I do have bad news, which is that lockdown films
are the anti
are kryptonite.
Yep.
Yeah, lockdown films are kryptonite. And you have been your film Stay at Home
starts with a speech from the Prime Minister about lockdown.
And you've complained saying that it hasn't gotten into any festivals.
I have complained.
And I, one of the things that they, sort of came up naturally in the conversation, of course, was that you might want to, if you're thinking of shooting a lockdown film now, about lockdown, about COVID and all the rest, the advice was maybe you want to rethink it. And I was talking to higher-ups from, this was from the Short of the Week, was one website that features a short film every week, I assume. The Minimalin Short Film Festival in Norway, and also Flickerfest in Sydney, Australia, These are all kind of like quite established things. And they said that you might want to rethink that film. And one example used was that they had one of them had received something like 213 or something COVID film submissions. And that out of those 213, they chose one. They chose one film.
I don't like those odds.
And this was the consensus amongst these festival directors was, if you're thinking about doing a COVID lockdown film at the moment, rethink it, because they're getting inundated with them and they're not, it's hard to stand out, and they're not that appealing. And also just like the whole thing of people not really,
wanting to accept reality.
Well, more like
Escapism.
Cinema being escapism, exactly. So it's like, for me personally, like I'm not particularly motivated to watch too much COVID stuff, which is why I can understand why Jamie Oxley is like, fucking shut up and jab chat about the goddamn COVID. I'm driving the truck and I just want to relax and not thinking about the fucking world ending.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because, to that point is COVID deniers and anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, we're back on it. Jab chat.
Are waiting.
Jab chat.
And lockdown lifters.
Wait a minute. Can you play the jab chat intro?
Yeah, I just played it then.
Jab chat.
So all of those people are under the impression that once these things happen, that being restrictions are lifted, whatever, we're just back to hanging out. And the reality is that this is now a permanent part of our conversation, probably for the rest of our natural lives.
What, you think COVID is going to be something we're going to talk about for the rest of it? Nah.
Oh, unless they come up with a cure.
I reckon in a few years we'll be like, COVID, what a tempest in a teapot that was.
Well,
we overcame. We overcame. We always overcome. It was fine. We put our masks on. We got our vaccines. Everything was all sorted. And now life is relatively normal. And unfortunately, COVID is a disease you hear about, just like you hear about HIV.
Yeah.
And it's out there and it is affecting lives. And, but life goes on. And I reckon that's where we're going to, but not until we get the goddamn vaccine. So
I think if we develop a very effective vaccine, like a sort of a incredibly that stops, that is actually able to sort of stop
a cure is what you're talking about.
Well, not necessarily, but because there's no cure for the flu. Yeah. But for example, if they developed a vaccine that reduced the
just that killed it 100%,
or reduced it, so like you could still get it, it would affect you less, but the reproduction factor gets diminished to the level of the flu, right? So, which it doesn't. The idea being that, you're not that likely to infect someone else. Yeah. Instead of you're very likely to affect hundreds of people. If we get to that point, then we'll go back to not. But I just have a feeling that. So anyway, to that point, and that tip, this is not news to me, not news at all. I've heard many sort of, I guess, producers and filmmakers and people talking about this whole thing of we don't want to see COVID stuff. We don't want to see any COVID stuff. No COVID. No COVID. I just want to see things that aren't COVID. And I do understand that from a point of, man, I just want to chill. I want to have my beer, Netflix and chill. And not be reminded.
This is Jamie Oxley driving his truck in the back, in the outback with his Netflix and his beer,
and not be reminded of the chaos that's ensuing.
Yeah,
right. I do totally understand that, but I also do think that actually, as filmmakers, it's very important for us to reflect back what is going on, unless we're making Star Wars or something, and even then, but to reflect back. Which, I mean, and in Star Wars, they say, was a sort of a cure for the Vietnam War. They talked about George Lucas wanted to step away from all that stuff. So he took the opposite and made the most successful film of all time by veering away from what was going on in film, which was a lot of movies around this topic. But I also think it's important for those other movies, the not the most successful films of all time, to hold up a mirror to society and to, you know, show what is going on. So for me personally, I'm hanging out for COVID films. I want to see COVID films. Now, I still want to see films with pure escapism and all that, and stuff that doesn't deal with that and pretends that COVID never happened. I'm happy to watch those as well. But I absolutely want to see films that start addressing, like, the misinformation, the paranoia, the fear, the anti-vax movement, all of that stuff, but in a fictional universe that can provide some commentary on what's going on. So, to be honest, if anything, I'm leaning further that way of like, hey, what could be this next bigger film that sort of deals with these things? Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be like, hey, this follows a guy who gets infected with COVID and, you know, his life. But it's more like metaphorically, allegorically, how can we sort of deal with this subject in a way that is important for us to talk about? Because I just don't think their whole head in the sand. That, like, I understand why it's happening. I understand why festivals are taking that approach, 100%. You know, if you're sitting at home because you couldn't go to the festival because of COVID, do you really want to watch a COVID film?
Yeah,
it being the reason that you can't enjoy the festival the way that you want.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. But I also do think that that can't, you know, like the next cycle of films has to move past that, or some of them have to. And so I'm going to be one of them, which no one sees because I don't get into any festivals.
Yeah, well, look, I can see where they're coming from, but overall the event went well, and I've got another event coming up next week on Tuesday. It's going to be a short film talk, and it's a paid ticketed event where people have to actually buy a ticket to get in. Although, if you slide into my DMs, I might be able to hook you up. And so this event is we're going to play 3 short films right here from the Pigville Productions studio. I'm going to play 3 short films and do a 20-minute Q&A with each filmmaker afterwards. Starts at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And go to showmeshorts.co.nz, and there's a website, there's a tab there that says events. Click on that and you can see all the events, and there's one there. Plus, I'll share it on the Facebook page, our Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. So that's my next big one. But anyway, after I submitted to Meet the Festivals, after I hosted that Meet the Festivals event and chatted to those festival directors, I decided to submit to Short of the Week our short film No Caller ID, because that's how what they do at Short of the Week is your film can already be up, but if it's a good film, they'll feature it. And so it doesn't matter if it's already online. It's kind of a good thing to do with your film once you reach the end of your festival run. And they don't mind if you've got it on your own YouTube either, you know. So they'll just put it up as well, basically, and get a lot of people seeing it. And so anyway, I submitted to that, and that was paid for by our Patreon supporters. Our Patreon supporters paid for that submission fee. They also pay for our monthly hosting fees for Libsyn, which is what this podcast is hosted on. And so thank you very much to our Patreon supporters. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Pigville, and you can find us there, and you can give us $1 a month, and that is the type of things that we spend it on. So yeah, very much appreciated.
Runs with Scissors says, watch Omeletto. So for me, Omeletto is actually a channel that screens award-winning short films, but apparently it's also a film. And he also says people want...
I thought that's what he meant, Omeletto, the YouTube channel.
He says people want escapism, not to be lectured in movies, which is why movies are failing at the box office. To be honest, Runs with Scissors, I think that's very inaccurate, because actually most films that are failing at the box office, well, they're failing at the box office because people aren't going to theatres at the moment. That's really why they're failing at box office. And not just there's been a seismic shift away from going to theatres because of COVID. But to that point, actually most films that are being released by major US distributors have not an ounce of political agenda in them. They're all escapism. So they're all failing and they're escapism. You know, James Bond ain't talking about COVID. Although I think that's doing quite well at the box office. But
Still James Bond.
So I actually think I do agree that, I don't like being lectured in films. That's something I don't like. But I do like watching things through a prism of, okay, what is this commentary about? And considering and thinking about that. And I think that's just as an important, a vital part of creating art and making movies as much as escapism is. I feel they're equally as important. One doesn't trump the other. And I think that you need a healthy mixture of both, to sort of truly be engaged. So, that's my sort of take on that one.
Well, shout out to a couple of people on the live stream. Daniela as well. Shout out Daniela. Shout out Runs with Scissors and Richard Lambeth.
Utopia on Omeletto. So I will check that out. It is the that award-winning channel. Yeah.
Well, good. In other news, Tesla blowing up at the moment.
Again?
Tesla is almost back at its 4% off its all-time high.
Okay, so you had invested around the time of its all-time high.
No. I invested before it blew up.
Yep.
But sadly, I didn't put in enough. I said I'm going to take out some of my savings and I'm going to buy Tesla with it. And I went and I signed up for stake specifically because that was where I could buy it. I signed up for stake. I was going to buy it. I had set aside some $5,000 or something like that, $4,000, something like that. I was like, I'm going to invest in Tesla. And then I got onto the website and I did invest in Tesla, but I also put some money in other places like Apple and Nvidia and other places like that because I was like, I want to diversify a little bit. And then Tesla blew up and I was like, well, shit. The whole plan was to put it all on Tesla, and then I didn't put it all on Tesla. I diversified myself out of some tidy profits.
Diversified yourself out of making a lot of money.
Well, certainly more, but the thing is, you've got to have enough to put in the first place. You're not going to be a millionaire, but anyway, so I bought it at a pretty good time. But the point, it did go up. It went up to like $880, and then it dropped back down to like $600 to $700. So it was on sale for quite a long time. And I thought, it's on sale, I better buy some more. So I did. But I did also buy some when it was at its all-time high because I feel like its all-time high might not actually be that high when we look back on it in the future. And then now we're just about back up that original all-time high again, and it's just steadily, it was at an all-time high, then it dropped, and then it's just steadily increased all the way back up to the all-time high. It's interesting. So yeah, I was wondering how your Tesla stock was doing, Guy. Have you checked it in a while? Because I feel like you bought it at a bad time. I feel like you bought it when it was really high.
I don't think I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I think what happened is everyone was like, "You gotta get in on this Tesla stock, brother." And I was like, "Sweet, how much is that?"
Yeah.
And I looked at it,
and you're like, "Oh, fuck."
And I was like, "Oh,"
and you were like, $300.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I can't afford that. I'll just buy some Apple."
But the thing you forget is that you can buy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
how
you can
much,
buy bits.
You're just buying bits of it.
You
so
buy
if you buy
bits
$100 worth of Tesla or $100 worth of Apple, it still costs you $100.
But yeah, I feel like I didn't invest. So how far are you up, in Tesla right now?
So about 140% or something on. I'm just double checking this. Hang on. 182% on Tesla on stake. So 182% on that one. That's pretty good. See, if I put my money in there originally, I'd be quite happy right now. 182%. That's pretty good. And then on the other one, I started later. So I also bought it. I've got it on 2 apps. This is maybe a little bit dumb.
Yeah.
But I've got it on 2 apps because that's the way the cookie crumbled. And so on my other app, I'm up 25%. So I'm up 25% on Sharesies, and I'm up 185% on stake. And the difference is the time that I bought in. I bought in on stake first.
Are you going to hold on to it?
Yeah, that's the plan. It's going to be
182%, mate. Sell now.
Imagine what it's going to be worth 5 to 10 years from now. Like, could some catastrophic thing happen? For sure. Could the company, maybe just underperform? Absolutely, it could. But you look at it and you go, well, hang on a minute. It seems like they're years ahead of the competition. They're not. They've got all sorts of, big opportunities ahead of them, and they've got really diverse income streams. And it would seem that they've got a very solid business plan that seems to be working, and they're led by what appears to be a genius. So I feel like 5 years from now, I'm going to be like, man, I'm so glad I bought some stock in 2021. Keep me accountable, people. When you tune into the Guy and Harley podcast 4 years from now, or the internet archaeologists who are sleuthing through all of this information and stumble upon us, keep me accountable. But 2021, I reckon in 2025, I'll look back on the price of stock in 2021 and go, shit, I should have bought more Tesla.
Interesting.
Yeah.
NFTs. Runs with Scissors asks, what do you reckon? I'm still getting my head around. Well, they're kind of hard to get your head around, but we've talked about them a little bit on the show before, non-fungible tokens.
Well, just to quickly go back, if anybody wants to get investing with Sharesies and Stake, don't forget, I've got a referral link. It's in the description below, and you can sign up for Stake or Sharesies if you're in the appropriate country, and we both get free money. I get a referral fee, and you get the same referral fee.
NFTs.
Non-fungible tokens.
So where do you sit on these, that some people call them digital baseball cards, like unique digital baseball cards, or first edition comics? It's an NFT, it's in the blockchain. It's essentially a certificate or something, or a percentage of something within the blockchain, which, sort of authenticates this as a one-off. People selling art as
it's a
NFTs.
Unique piece of code that only you have.
Yeah.
That proves that you have, the official one of this thing, or the official 10, if there might be 10 of them. It's up to the author.
I'm still on the fence.
I feel like it's probably part of a greater trend, which is that our entire lives are going to be represented online soon enough, and this is just part of it.
Yep.
And that there actually is money to be made from this, and that, I could see it. I mean, if you ask me, collecting shit is dumb anyway. Whether you collect shit, whether it's digital shit or physical shit, it's still just shit, isn't it? Like if you collect magazines and you go, but this comic this is the Batman #1. It's worth the most money. And it's like, cool, I get that it's rare, but it's not actually physically worth anything. And in the apocalypse, you're not going to run and grab your fucking Batman #1. You're going to grab your axe, because an axe has actual tangible worth.
But until that time, Batman #2 is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, so...
It's not practically going to help you in the apocalypse, but we're all assuming as collectors, not that I am one,
but that it's
the same. Like if you want to talk about the blockchain, it's the same if someone brings that axe that they bought to the server that holds the Bitcoin.
They could chop up all that Bitcoin
and essentially destroys the record and the history. I know it's a bit more detailed than that because you have a record on your computer. But if someone if the internet goes down, right, just done. In the apocalypse,
hypothetically speaking,
those NFTs aren't going to be worth anything either.
No, it's true.
I just think the NFT is a concept because it's like not a tangible thing you can hold, like a collector's edition Batman at the end of the day. Like that Wu-Tang Clan CD that they sold to that one guy for $5 million. He's got that CD. Yeah, but
that was different because that wasn't one CD though. So that wasn't one CD. It wasn't just one CD. This was literally a print of of all the music as well. They gave him the music.
Yeah, but
so he couldn't. It was up to him whether or not he released it.
It's
right?
They gave him the album.
Yes, they gave him the album.
Yeah.
So, but the album's not out otherwise, right?
That's right.
Because he refuses. He hasn't released it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
that's a huge amount of work to create a whole album and and all that.
Sure.
It's not just like a digital. It's not like owning a meme.
But it's still a physical thing, music, whatever, right? He's the only one that has this CD sitting in a case somewhere, with all those tracks on it.
So it was a physical CD that they gave him as well.
I'm assuming.
You're assuming. A CD?
I'm 100% sure it's essentially an album that sits there.
Yeah.
He could make copies of it if he wants, but he's not.
Probably a vinyl.
Maybe, yeah.
Said it'd be a vinyl.
So he's got that there, and there's value in that. And yes, of course, there's value in the representation of that digitally as well. But I do wonder if the exclusivity and all these things, the representation of them as you know, a series of code is not as I don't know, engaging in our own sort of sense of a tangible sense of holding something, of seeing something. That Batman #1, at the end of the day, it's in its sleeve. We can pull it out. We can look at it. It is there. It exists physically. Whereas NFTs don't. They're a piece of code, that represents something. And somehow I feel like there's a degree of diminishing value in that because we identify value in what we can, see, hear, feel, touch, all that sort of thing, right? And so, if you buy an old, antique something, it is just sitting there, this antique thing. If you buy an NFT, well, it's not sitting there. You've got this little piece of code and you've got a certificate and you can bring it up on your computer to show people, but it's not necessarily the same thing. And I wonder if the disconnect in the non-physical nature of NFTs will mean that they become more of a fad. And I feel like it's almost like it could just go either way.
I own my NFT. I've got my half-yearly NFT.
Yeah.
I've officially NFT'd it.
But you said you were going to try and sell that.
Yeah, and I even organised sort of a story with a reporter to see if we could get a little bit of publicity. But then basically, I don't know, I got busy. I think it was like Japan, going to Japan and then coming back from Japan and we were in lockdown and I kind of just didn't really follow up on it. But I do want to do a story about, my NFT. And I've got this journalist who's kind of interested. And so, but I also don't want to rush to sell it before I really understand what I'm doing. Like I want to do it properly before I go giving it away for some fucking Ethereum, so, so I'm sort of still, I'm pulling back on the reins a little on that one, but it's the half-hairy meme. I own the NFT to it.
Yeah. Well, you did create it.
Yeah, I did create it. Created the shit out of that. I'm pretty sure you did buy Tesla because
I could have.
I remember we were talking about it, and I
better check my account.
I was like, you might be a millionaire.
It would be hilarious.
And so and I remember at the time you said what you'd bought, and I was like, oh yeah, good. I'm sure I remember being like, oh yeah, good. He's got Tesla because that's.
It's possible that I've got $20 of Tesla, which
I think it was 20. Yeah, 20. You invested $75 total.
Yeah.
So you might have $78 by now.
Yeah, boy.
Depends how your Apple's doing as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Apple's doing it right.
Apple's about to take a big spike up in
why?
approximately 2 days.
Because it's taken a bit of a dip lately, so I bought a little bit more.
But
what
I'd be buying right now, today.
Yeah.
This is a hot
it's
shares
Sunday.
tip.
We can't buy today.
Shit!
You got to buy it like Wall Street hours, and in the USA.
Oh, that's going to be a problem.
So you don't get it. It's like Tuesday morning at 2:30
a.m. They're making
New Zealand.
another announcement on Monday. Apple are doing another announcement.
The Apple Car,
which
have you heard about the Apple Car?
Everyone believe is going to be the new M1X Apple computers, which I have also.
Is this the replacement for my computer?
Yeah, which I've recommended to you.
Is this the replacement for my computer?
Yeah, that you should replace your computer with. But it's sort of
it's literally the only one.
The evolution.
The only option, but thank you for the recommendation.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did say that you could buy an Intel now.
What the fuck's an Intel? A PC?
No, an Intel Mac, an Intel version.
Okay.
Right? You could also buy that. That would also be good.
Is that just the latest one, the latest colourful one that has 8 megabytes of RAM?
It's not the colourful one.
16 megabytes of RAM or something silly.
No, it's the one that you can swap out the RAM for.
Right.
But it's not the new M1
But it's not
chip.
the replacement for what I've got.
Yeah, it's just the newer.
Yeah. I want the replacement
version
of what I've got, the iMac.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it is a replacement. It's just not a brand new chip replacement.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're making a new announcement on Monday. So if I were you, I'd get up Monday morning, put some money in Apple because I guarantee by the end, shit's going up, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a hot tip for you stakers out there.
What do you think? What are they announcing?
So essentially what is rumored that they're announcing
Yeah.
is a new line of either just a new line of MacBook Pros with
Yeah.
a new chip,
Okay.
which is better than the chip that they announced.
And so the stock market doesn't yet know what this announcement is. It's just rumors.
That's right. So the stock market may believe that this is going to happening, right? So they know it's going to be an announcement. The last time they did this, everyone was like, "What could it be?" And it's like, "Oh, it's just the new iPhone. Who gives a fuck?" But these computers are the thing that are really going to raise the stock because they're really the thing that run better than and are a type of technology that Apple are way ahead of the game on. And so if they can further refine something that was very good in its initial release, at the beginning of this year, then this new version, which could be just laptops, or it might be the laptops and new iMacs, which is the thing that you're waiting for. So either way,
I'm only 45% up on Apple. The price of Apple at the moment is $144. So keep us accountable. Let's see what happens after this announcement, which way it goes. It's currently $144. Next week we'll let you know what happened there.
I might be time for me to invest.
Well, look, time in the market beats time in the market, mate. So that's what they say. I'm just parroting what I've heard, but
oh God, it sounds so horrible.
But it works,
No, look, it
works. You go shit. You just start putting the money in.
Sales
and it just slowly
speak.
builds up. Yeah, sales speak. But no, look, some rules are true. Some rules seem to be true.
No, so that's what I might do. That I might actually do that.
Well, I think it's look, what the fuck do I know? I'm a fucking idiot from South Dunedin.
I mean, you're definitely not an expert.
Oh, don't trust anything I say.
You're a guy that peddles this discounted steak thing, so you get a...
No, all I do is I tell people what I personally feel like I wish somebody had told me. That's my method for writing things and planning things. Tell people what I think I would have liked to have been told. If somebody had just come up to me and been like, "Hey, Harley, this is how it works," then I would have been like, "Thank you so much," right? So that's all I do. And all I can do is talk about what's worked for me. Okay, overall, I'm 122% up on steak, 122.66% up overall over all of my investments.
That's pretty good.
That's more than double my money. Look, what can I say?
That's really that's a lot better than putting it in the bag and getting your fucking 3%.
$3 a fucking month.
So ridiculous.
My interest on my savings is like $3.50 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
That's my bonus interest for putting it in the bank. Cash is trash, people. Cash is trash. Take all your money and invest it in some company. Fuck it, just pick one. Throw a dart at a dartboard and just pick a company. What could go wrong? You heard it here on the Guy and Harley podcast. That's official financial advice.
Shit.
Well, that's the last of my notes.
Yeah, well, I really only... Yeah, so I think we should wrap it up because I actually do have things to do as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably time to call it quits.
Well, it's been a good show.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/Guy and Harley if you want to follow us. Keep up with all the things we talk about. Patreon.com/Pigville. That's a really important one. You give us $1 a month. It pays for things like the hosting on this channel. And submitting films to film festivals and other random stuff like that. So shout out to our Patreon supporters. Olderfilm.com. Go check out Older Film. You can watch our latest feature film, which is out there and being watched by thousands of people all around the world. Hundreds of thousands
of people.
Potentially millions.
We will have cracked 1 million streams now, for sure, easily.
That's good. That's good.
1 million streams.
I really thought that all of this online success would lead to more real life success.
That's the thing about these streams, right? 1 million streams. It ain't like, talking about physical things. It ain't like 1 million people going out to the theater and paying for it.
No. 1 million blowjobs. It's not tangible.
Yeah, so 1 million streams, and all I got was this lousy studio,
which you're paying for. You didn't really
which cost, which
didn't really get it.
No,
built it. Yeah. Well, luckily you're an artist. Luckily, your motivations are not financial. Your motivations are, altruistic, artistic, a desire to create, a desire to spread messages, give thoughts.
Make a COVID movie that no one's going to watch.
Make a COVID movie that nobody wants to see.
That no festivals will accept.
Yeah.
That's all right. Online. Straight to online.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been great to have a chat with people on the live stream, and we will catch you next week.
See you next week.
Just going to stop that stream.